Hi everyone. So my research project proposal is going to be about movies since the COVID-19 pandemic and how the industry has changed since the pandemic. More specifically, how movie theaters are now in competition with streaming services, stuff like that. So let's get started. So for some background information, obviously as we know, at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, movie theaters were completely closed their doors from public use, halting the release of any big budget movies for almost 1.5 years. Because of this drastic change, some publishing companies began to roll out new movies on streaming services day one of their release. This dynamic changed the way consumers watch new movies in the comfort of their own homes. So, as we've all been through, we all know that movie theaters closed, right, during COVID 19. And we saw the release of movies being on streaming services, aka Disney Plus, HBO Max, Netflix, and we saw that trend. And here's a few examples: Wonder Woman 1984, The Suicide Squad, Black Widow, Dune, The Matrix Resurrections, and many more. Once again, this begs the question whether the method in which consumers watch new movies has permanently changed and if that's a sustainable model for publishing companies in the future. So, these are some examples of movies that released on streaming services day one alongside movie theaters. Um, and so some problems that can come from streaming services is number one, piracy. Some issues that come with streaming services is a large increase in piracy. For example, following its release on Disney Plus, Marvel Studios' Black Widow was the most pirated movie for 3 straight weeks, according to Torrent Freak. Another problem is the actors. Another unfortunate outcome uh, of this release strategy was its detrimental effect on the actors. Many actors have agreements built into their contracts that grant them a percentage of their film's box office earnings, a stipulation that is proving to be more flexible than some actors prefer. A recent and notable example is Scarlett Johansson's heated legal battle with Disney after their decision to release the film on Disney Plus reportedly cost her an additional eight-figure paycheck. So, kind of in simplistic terms, because they're releasing these movies, aka Black Widow, on streaming services alongside box office releases, um, they're earning less money for their box office release because of the competition with streaming services. And so that kind of undermines the pay that actors get in their contracts, if that makes sense. So, some of the research questions in this overall topic is has streaming services permanently changed the way most people watch new movies? Has COVID 19 caused movie theaters to become a dying business? Or are streaming services a temporary change until the world goes back to normal? If the market has shifted towards streaming services, is it a sustainable model for every new release going forward? If not, what movies would be okay at release day one and which would not? What are the financial impacts of releasing blockbuster movies day one on streaming services? What percentage of movies are being watched on streaming services versus in movie theater day one of release? How much profit do day one release of movies make in theaters compared to day one release on streaming services? What is the percentage of people who have gone from mostly watching in theaters to strictly streaming services and why? What is the percentage of people who continue to go to movies theaters despite releasing on streaming services? What movies should individuals watch in theaters versus at home on streaming services? What demographics are watching movies at home versus going to a theater? So these are some just research questions I thought of at the top of my head that can kind of give you a good idea of what this research project would be all about. Kind of like analyzing the impacts of this change in the industry, if it's good or bad, if it's sustainable. Obviously, because big companies are moving towards this direction, there's obviously some good things in there that they're seeing. And so I think it'd be interesting to see the differences in people and how they watch different movies and some of the negatives of it as well. So some of the concepts slash constructs from these research questions, these are kind of just like the ideas of what we're trying to look for are changes in how people watch new movies, effects of COVID-19 within the movie industry, long-term sustainability of new movies releasing day one on streaming services, the financial implications of releasing new movies day one on streaming services, percentage change in how people watch new movies, and demographic change in how people watch new movies. And so those are kind of the central ideas of what this research project would be all about. And I used one source for all of this. So thank you, and if you're interested, let me know. I appreciate it.